Welcome. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. And I want to look at the most recent tournament that I played, the fifth Pelley Cup by the Nairobi Chess Club. So I want to document all the games that I played during that tournament, and I want to show you guys how I played and the basically the journey through the tournament. So to give it context, to tell you how the tournament worked, and because it wasn't a normal tournament, yes, it was a classical tournament, but we weren't playing with the normal classical rules. So especially about the time control, we were playing with an hour per person. And this was the under 1600 section, because you can see at that time my rating was 1294. So I wanted to play the under 1600 section because there was a good prize if I was able to win the tournament. So this was game one. The games were played on 22nd of July. So this was game one, and I was playing Humphrey Mbogwa, a friend of mine. But as we all know, we don't have friendships over the board. So the game started. I was playing white in my first game, and my mood through the tournament and as it was starting was that I knew that I had to win the first game to kickstart my tournament with a good mood. So I was really eager to play this game, and I was very eager to win it. So I was playing Humphrey, and Humphrey isn't a particularly strong player. You wouldn't say he's a strong player, but there is a lot to be said about the game. It was a game. It was really a battle of uh, who has the tempo and who's controlling the game at what time, because it was very tactical, and I thought he also had chances. I also had chances, and yeah, let's dive into the game. So I started with e4. I'm usually Of late, I've been an avid e4 player because I play both e4 and d4 depending on my mood and depending on the opponent that I'm playing against. So in this tournament, I had prepared e4 lines, so I was very eager for a fight, because the tournament is especially considering the time control. It's an hour per player without increment, so you can't really play positional games. I mean, you can, but with little time, I thought that going tactical was the best option, because people get to calculate more lines, and you know if they're calculating more and calculating longer, you get a time advantage. So in this game, I started with e4. Humphrey replied with the Sicilian, and I played my knight to f3. He played his knight to c6, and he was inviting lines with bishop to b5, then maybe knight to d4. But I'm not okay. I didn't have enough theory on these Sicilian lines as white, because I play the Sicilian as black, but I don't really have a lot of theory on these lines. So in this tournament, I decided to take my opponent out of preparation as soon as possible. So I played g3. He played his pawn to a6, and I thought he was going to push b5 and play some sort of an O'Kelly Sicilian. So I stopped it immediately with my pawn to a4. And this pawn to a4 is a move that I usually play when I'm playing such lines. So I play my pawn to a4 most of the time. So doing it at the start of the game was still part of the structure that I'm trying to achieve. So I didn't see any harm in playing a4. He played e5, and I was really confused, because mostly in the Sicilian, people suffer because of piece development. I mean, black suffers a lot because of piece development. Black doesn't usually have natural or easy ways to get the minor pieces out, and white, on the other hand, has easy moves that play themselves, and you develop really quickly and get your pieces out and start attacking. So when he pushes, when as you're black, as playing black, when you push too many pawns in the opening, you're really giving white even extra time and extra tempo to develop and start attacking you early, as we'll see in the game. So after he played e5, I played my bishop to g2, uh, finishing my development on the king side because I want to castle and start attacking him immediately. So he played his knight to f6, trying to compensate and trying to develop well, as quick as he can. Plus, because knight to f6 comes with the tempo, it attacks my pawn on e4. So I played d3 to defend it. He played e6. Again, too many pawn moves. In my opinion, I'd have played bishop to e7, and I'd have castled immediately, then thought about playing d6 and activating my bishop, because you'd argue that the light square bishop is a dead bishop in this opening, but it's very easy to push b6 and put your bishop on b7 and take control of the long diagonal, which I usually don't see it being like a bad idea for black in the Sicilian and most other lines. So if it were me, I'd have played bishop e7 and I'd have continued with my plan to castle. So I played d3, he played d6, he played c3, and he developed his light square bishop to g4, pinning my knight on f3. So I cast, wait, okay, so he played bishop, okay, yeah, so he played bishop to g4. I played my knight b to d2, also aiding myself in development, and he striked in the center. I'm not the biggest fan of this move, and when I first saw it, I thought black is trying to open the position up, and he's still a move away from castling. I can castle immediately, and black is still a move away from castling, and I didn't really understand why you'd push d5 in this position, but I ended up playing into his hands. I kind of believed him. I believed in the move that he was playing, and because I've had this position before against Howie Kaloki, and in that occasion I didn't. Okay, so here I took back. In Howie's game, I castled, then Howie took on e4. I took back, and we had this positional kind of slow battle to see who has more control of the center throughout the game. And Howie had asked me why I didn't capture on e5 instead, why I didn't play e takes on d5. I mean instead. So in this game, because I had the analysis from Howie's game, we did. I don't usually analyze my games with an engine because I try and look for the alternative solutions on my own, because if I were on the board I wouldn't have the aid of an engine to analyze this position. So after every game I go through my moves and look for better solutions using raw calculation. So in this position i I ended up taking, and I quickly realized that this doesn't work, because after he took back with the queen, I saw that my d3 pawn was hanging, and this pawn is hanging because we cannot push it. We can't push it forward because of the control that he has on d5, on d4. I mean, he has 1, 2, 3. That's a bad arrow. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 attackers on that d4 square. I can never really push my pawn there, because I'll end up losing it and I'll end up giving up my center, and he'd have passed pawns, and that will be very, very bad for my position. This is an impossible move to play. So after he took, I realized that I had done a mistake. So I played my queen to b3 immediately, trying to offer a queen trade. With the queen trade, I don't know. I thought he would still have like a better position after the queen trade, because let's say queen takes b3, knight takes back on b3. I expected him to push his pawn to c4, which looks like you're sacrificing the pawn, but you're eventually going to get it back. After I take on c4, I was expecting him to push his knight, to push his pawn to e4, attacking my knight. I'd move my knight to the center, I'd play knight on f to d4, and I expected some move like a knight to e5. And as you can see in this position, this pawn is pretty much lost. I can't hang on to the pawn, because if you play bishop to f1, I am losing tempo. I am not developing quickly, and he's going to just beat me in a few moves, because he's going to play like rook to c8 and still attack it, and after he takes here with the knight, he's going to have a lot of control in the center. Plus this pawn on e4, it's like a knife in my throat. So I didn't see like a good continuation for me in that line. But after queen to b3, Humphrey ended up taking on d3, and I think this was the decisive mistake, and this is where he lost the game. Because then I played my queen takes on b7, having a double attack on his rook and his knight, and you can't really defend both of them comfortably, I'd say, because normally you'd like to play rook to b8, chase the queen away, but in this moment, if you play like queen to b8, I just take your knight on c6 and your position falls apart. So after he took, he played his rook to c8, defending his knight, and I can't take his rook because his bishop defends it. And from here I played my bishop back to f1, chasing his queen away. Played queen to f5, and I went bishop takes on a6. I wanted to create an outside pass pawn, and I also had ideas of moving my queen away and like reintroducing the threat of the double attack, because after I move my queen to b6, I'm attacking his knight, and I'm also having a discovered attack on his rook with my bishop. So after he played his queen to f5, I took on a6, he took an f3, and I took back with my knight. And you can see how tactical it is. You can see how tactical this position is, and you can try and pause. You can pause the video, try and analyze the position, and try and see who has the upper hand. Though I felt comfortable in this position. I wasn't tensed at all, and I believed that my position was better, because if you play queen takes on f3, I would take your rook. You'd play maybe queen to e7, because I don't know, but your position is lost potentially. You've lost a rook in exchange for my queen, and I just castle here and my king will be completely safe. So I didn't see how I was unsafe in this position. So he ended up playing queen to e4 check, and here I had two options. I could play my bishop to e2 or bishop to e3. Bishop to e3 comes with a threat of an attack, which could easily lead to checkmate, because if I play bishop to e3 and in case you take my knight on f3, this leads to a checkmate after queen takes on c8 and bishop takes on c5. This is mate. So Bishop to e3 looks good if he plays queen takes on f3. But if he plays rook to b8, the problem now, I think black is back in the game, because this is now a double attack. The rook attacks the queen can't take on c6 because his queen defends the c6 square, and he's also attacking my knight on f3. So I chose the latter. I chose to play my bishop to e2 instead, just I thought was decent. I thought was defending my position pretty well. So he played his rook to d8, and I got some valuable tempo from here. I just castled with the idea that if he plays queen takes on e2, I'm going to play queen takes on c6, and it looks like an exchange, but I have really easy moves to play. You can play, let's say, knight to e7, like knight to d7, I mean, which I don't see it as a particularly good move. I just maybe he survives, but it's I think black's best try in this position. I'd play rook to e1. If he takes on f3, he's lost. So maybe play something like queen to c4, because I don't see any better square that the queen sits in. And from here, if I the position just opens up, and you can see what I was telling you, like at the start, at the opening, at the start of the position. In the Sicilian, you should really avoid, if you're playing black in the Sicilian, avoid making too many pawn pushes, because it opens your position up. If white opens the position up and catches you undeveloped, you are really going to suffer. So you can see from that position. So I played castles, played his rook to d8, decent try. I played my queen to a6, defending my bishop on e2. He played bishop to e7, but you can already see what I meant. He's now trying to like cut his losses and try and castle at this moment, but I think the position is just done for him. I played my knight to g5, attacking his queen. So he moved his queen to d5, played my rook on the open file, attacking his queen, and from here I think the position just played itself. Here he thought for about 30 minutes, about 20 minutes, because through the opening and through the tactics, I had not spent too much time calculating them, because again my position was playing itself. But he was really trying to, because when you go to tournaments, I usually, when I go to tournaments, I try and use everything to my advantage. In what way, you might ask? Okay, what I mean is I try and use anything that I can to my advantage. In this case, I was using the time, because I knew we were playing with an hour every person, like every player was using an hour on his clock, and I knew that if you try and calculate how you calculate in normal classical games, you'd really run out of time. And time travel in uh, such conditions is really bad, because you have no increment to play on. You're just playing like move after move without getting any additional time. So as I was playing these moves and as my position was playing itself, I was trying to play as quick as possible and put him under immense pressure. So in this position, I could have played anything. Even bishop to e4, I think, is still winning for me. But I thought rook to d1 was cleaner and much easier to see and much easier to calculate. So he thought for about 20 minutes, and now he was really in time trouble. I think he had like 5 minutes left on his clock. So after he played knight to e4, sacrificing back, I don't even think it's sacrificing back a piece, it's just sacrificing a piece to save your, maybe your queen, I don't know. I just think it's a pointless move. I took his knight, he took back, and I played my bishop to b5, pinning his rook to his king. So he castled, I took the rook, he took back with the queen, and I continued this position playing upper rook, my position. I'm up a rook at the moment, so I played my queen back to d3, opening up the path for my a pawn, because I thought that was the pawn that was going to win me the game. So he chased my knight away, just came back to e4. He played knight to d5. I pushed my pawn. He pushed his pawn to f5. I brought my knight back. He pushed again to f4. Played knight to f3. I took back. He played bishop to d6, which I didn't really understand. At this moment, every move he was playing, I thought was like a dying horse, the kicks of a dying horse. So I pushed my pawn to a6, played queen to g4, trying to attack my knight, because it's defended only by my queen and my actually it's only defended by my queen, and he's attacking it with his queen and his rook. So I played my knight back to h2, attacking his queen. I played queen to h5. I played rook to e1, just getting my rook out of the way, because I thought he had tactics of maybe pushing this pawn, and if I take, he was going to take on d1. So I moved my rook out of the way, and also stopping the idea of pushing e4. So he played rook takes f2, which is, I just thought this was now completely winning for me, because it's a sacrifice on f2. And after the game, he's trying to convince me that he had an attack going on, but as you'll see with the moves that follow, it was really easy for me to continue, and it was really easy for me to win. So I took on f2, I took on h2 with check, moved my king up. He played e4 check, I took with my queen. He took on g3 with check, I moved my king back. He played pawn to d3 with check, played king to d1, which isn't the safest king visually, but there is really no way to attack it. So after he played knight to b4, I just pushed my pawn. He played queen to h2, trying to go for a checkmate on c2 maybe, but it was still silly to me. So I promoted my pawn with check, played his bishop back, and I played my bishop to d2, cutting off that idea of checkmating me on c2. So he played queen h5 check. At this moment, he was playing with barely a minute on his clock. He had like 33 seconds, something like that. So I played my king to c1, moving away from the check. He played queen to c5 check. I played my bishop to c3. He pushed his pawn check. I just took, and after this check and rook to e2, he resigned the game after this move. So this was my first game, and after this game I was pumped and I was feeling ready for the tournament, because it's usually good if you start the tournament on a high note, in my opinion. So yeah, this was game one. Again, welcome to the channel. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, subscribe, and you can I'm trying to start. I'll post the whole playlist for this tournament, every game that I played. So look out for the next game. I played Nakaje in my round 2 in this tournament. So thank you.